Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic all the way from the Gold Coast. For those of you that are in the US, look, my heart goes out to you, particularly around California with all those terrible fires. Having been brought up in a bushfire area, I do understand the horror and the terror and the uncertainty of what fire brings. And I know that your fire season over there is very, very lengthy. So we send our prayers and hopefully you'll get some rain soon that'll put the fires out so that you can get back to normal life, whatever that is, after you go through a fire season. So for the rest of us mere mortals, let's get on with the show. This week I've drawn the highest card of the tarot deck from the Simply Tarot deck called the High Priestess. Now, the High Priestess is one of those cards when I used to do a lot of classes that people used to look at me and say, Amanda, what does this actually mean? We've got the High Priestess. You're telling me it's the highest card in the deck, but how does that actually relate to my life? Well, yes, it is the highest card in the tarot deck. It's a very powerful card. Now, the High Priestess is neutral. She takes on the energy, whether it's good or whether it's bad, whatever's sitting around it. If you were doing a reading with more than one card, you would then look at her taking on the energy of the cards surrounding it. So if the cards surrounding it are positive, then she adds a lot more weight to the positivity. If the cards around it aren't looking so positive, well, then we're looking for maybe some solutions, secrets yet to be revealed, things to be revealed to us. It doesn't necessarily say that because everything's negative or gloomy looking that we've got more of the same or it's going to be intensified. It just means we've got to look for some creative solutions. Maybe there's something we're not looking at squarely. Maybe there's something else that we need to look at. It can also be very powerful in the way that it is secrets yet to be revealed. So if you draw the High Priestess when you're working with the tarot yourself, always look at it as it's the most powerful card that you can get. Maybe you need to just get in touch with your higher self. Maybe you need to listen to your instincts a little bit more, your gut feeling. We all have them. It's a matter of whether we honour them and we work with them. And for most people, we tend to sort of think, oh, yeah, that's good, but that doesn't apply to me just because I've had that feeling. So we're all a little bit like that. So it's been an interesting week astrologically. The sun's moved out of Cancer and moved into Leo. And I always think that's an exciting time of the year, I suppose because I'm a fire sign. I know I'm not a Leo, but I just enjoy the energy of when the energy shifts from one sign to another. I really do feel it. And I really do enjoy, when the sun goes back into a fiery sort of energy because it seems to motivate me and give me more energy than normal. And I am a fairly high energy person anyway. So it just sort of gives you that sort of little bit of a boost. But the Leo energy is also about people sort of speaking out a little bit more. It's about strutting their stuff, wanting to be noticed. It doesn't matter what your star sign is. Everybody's wanting to be noticed at the moment. Everybody wants to get their message across. They want to be able to sort of say, hey, look at me. This is what I've got to say. Aren't I important? Look at me, look at me, look at me. So if you step aside from that a little bit, and I mean, if we look around the world and we look at the politicians around the world, they're always strutting their stuff saying, look at me, look at me. And I suppose that's part of the job. But there seems to be a lot happening politically around the world in many nations at the moment where there's a little bit of chaos going on, or new governments are being sworn in, or elections are going on, or there's investigations or inquiries to the previous people that ran countries. And sort of there seems to be a lot of attention at the moment on the media and the focus of what may be happening locally in your environment with your local governments or your president or your prime minister or whatever they choose to call themselves. There's a lot of turmoil at the moment, but also I think there's going to come a lot of answers. So every time you turn the news on and you're a little bit, oh, not here we go again, just think that, these things need to be cleared. We need to get answers, even if they are boring to the rest of us, that these issues that run nations need to be cleared so that the world as a collective can get on with fixing the world, tackling climate change, tackling the rest of this pandemic, looking at the other potential threats that are coming through like monkeypox and things like that, and the fact that COVID doesn't seem to be going away where they believed it would have faded out now into something like a seasonal flu. It seems to be the different variants seem to be getting a life of their own and becoming more sticky, more intense, more whatevers as the world grapples with trying to come to terms with the pandemic isn't finished yet where we expected it would be. I know here in Australia we've got more deaths now than we had since the beginning of the pandemic. and the numbers are climbing daily. And I know other parts of the world are experiencing the same thing. So if anybody tries to tell you that the pandemic's over, they really are dreaming, because we haven't got to the bottom of it yet, but hopefully we'll get some breakthroughs soon. So we also have Venus, the planet of love and affection, is holding hands, or conjunct, as known in astrology terms, with the moon, which is the emotional planet, which is what drives us all, which is also conjunct one of the Arabian parts called the part of fortune. So what does this mean, all sitting in Cancer? Well, what it basically means, if you're seeking love, and it doesn't matter what your star sign is, it's now the perfect time for you to sort of take harness of those emotions, you know, the things that sort of attract you to someone new, and sort of look maybe outside your inner circle, sort of step out a little bit, do something that may not feel as necessarily as comfortable to you, take up a new hobby, go somewhere new, you know, join into things that friends ask you to do, instead of always sort of, you know, finding an excuse, or you're washing your hair, or you've got family issues or whatever. You know, take that leap of faith, because by doing this at the moment, if you are single and seeking the opportunity to have a new relationship in your life, the planetary alignments are all there with you, but you've got to be the one to step outside and get off the couch and make it happen too. You've got to contribute. I hear a lot of people say, oh, you know, I've done a vision board and I've done this and I've done that. And I said, but what have you actually contributed to making your dreams a reality? You've got to get out there and you've got to give it a helping hand. Just because you've got all the vision boards and all the wishes and done all the, you know, rituals under the sun, it doesn't make it happen unless you actively participate. Well, the same thing is said for love. If you really do want a new relationship, then you've got to step out of your normal comfort zones to sort of, you know, widen the circle of people that you can potentially meet. We also have Mars, the planet of action, is conjunct or holding hands with one of the moon's nodes, which is the North Node, which is again not a planet, but the North Node represents what we're all aspiring to achieve, or where we hope to be going. Now, the North Node is actually conjunct or holding hands Uranus. Now, these three energies are sitting in Taurus. The two planets and the one luminary are sitting in Taurus. Now, anytime we have something sitting in Taurus, it means it can be a little bit stubborn, it can be a little bit fixed and pig-headed, but it can also bring tremendous stability. So I'm looking at, with Mars here, the planet of action and opportunity, and the planet that motivates us to get out of bed and sort of, you know, this is partly where our ego comes from, says, come on, let's go. It's time for action. It's time to do something. Maybe what it's showing us here is the fact that it is conjunct the North Node. So the North Node is where we're aspiring to be. Now, if we look at this in a personal level, we're all usually have some sort of dream or somewhere that we're aspiring to be. Whether it's a new job, a new relationship, we want to move home, we want to get in control of our finances, want the children to clean up their bedroom even. I know that's a little bit simplistic, but for some people that's a major issue. You know, if you're really house proud and you've got teenagers that don't want to come out of their cave, only to eat and occasionally shower, you sometimes sort of feel like you're climbing Mount Everest trying to get them to tidy their room up. Well, now's the time that maybe you might be able to find a creative solution to that. And, you know, there's creativity, there's opportunities that could come literally out of nowhere for each and every one of us. So if you've got some new plans or some new things that you want to sort of bring to the forefront, and you've been waiting for that perfect time to launch them or to sort of dig deeper into them and sort of maybe make them happen, now's the perfect time for that, because Mars is giving you the energy and the direction and the drive. It's also giving you the stickability, the ability to keep going and power through any obstacles that might be there. It's also, with the North Node here, is showing you the way forward. It's showing you where you can achieve the highest pinnacle with this, that, you know, there is opportunities there, there is doors to knock on, there is doors that can fly open, and they can fly open very quickly, because Uranus, the planet of the unusual and the unexpected, is like a bolt of lightning. It can strike the ground very quickly, and then all of a sudden we've got a point of difference. We've got doors that will fly open, we've got people and conversations, but we also have to be aware with this energy that's going on at the moment that we don't use it for negative things, or we don't rub people up the wrong way. If somebody says, no, I'm not interested, then don't keep pushing your case. The answer is no. Move on, find somebody else that may be more receptive. Don't get bogged down, and I thought that this was the perfect opportunity or the perfect place to launch this. and they're not interested, look at that as, okay, thanks very much. I'll gather my bits and pieces and I'll move on. I'll look for someone else who will really, really want to embrace what I bring to the table. So there is lots of opportunities there. It's also a time on the world stage that maybe, just maybe, that we might get some breakthroughs with this war in Ukraine. Wouldn't that be lovely if we finally got some positivity out of there, that Russia decided to do an about face and go home and behave themselves? I know that's maybe wishful thinking and daydreaming on my part, but I've always believed it was going to end as suddenly as it began. And I keep looking all the time, astrologically, looking for that little glimmer of hope that maybe it might be this week. You know, there's many, many factors that make up these things, and it'll probably end up being something simple that triggers the retreat or Russia to sort of pull out of Ukraine and let them be and let them get back to rebuilding their lives again. And we're all going to turn around and say, is that all it took? But, you know, sometimes it's the simplest of things is the straw that breaks the camel's back, so they say. So, you know, just let's be hopeful that there might be some breakthroughs coming. I mean, I'm seeing lots and lots of footage coming out of Ukraine, and it's beyond unnerving. You know, you look at it and you imagine that those people had a normal life. They went to work, they had families, they had day-to-day lives, and all of that was just tipped upside down all of a sudden, and they're now fighting for what they believe in, which is their country, their way of life. They, you know, they're no different from the rest of us. They're just fighting for what's theirs. And I think it's a terrible shame that we've got bullies in the world that think that they can dominate and control and take everything that's not theirs. You know, it's like little children playing in a sandbox. We teach them to share. We teach them not to take something that's not theirs. Well, pity that the grown-ups didn't learn the same lessons. We have Mercury, the planet of communication, is in Leo at the moment. So it's really interesting. As I said before, it's a time when a lot of people are strutting their stuff, where people are sort of saying, look at me, aren't I important? But for those of you, and it does, again, I'm going to say it doesn't matter what your star sign is, if you need to have that really delicate conversation, or you've been looking to sort of what's the right time to go and approach the boss for a pay rise, hope he or she's in a good humour, now would be the time to formulate your case. I'm not saying race in, knock on the door and do it right this second. Make sure you go in with a plan of action. You've got reasons why you deserve a pay increase, that, you know, you're head and shoulders above everyone else, that, you know, your performance, your, you know, loyalty, whatever the case may be, that, you know, you've been here long enough. And it's not always about how long you've been with a company. It's about your performance and how well you work and how well you fit the brand or what the company stands for, at why people get promotions and opportunities. It's not always just because you're the top of your area that do you deserve the promotion and the pay rise. It's a many factors come into it, and personality plays a big part. For a lot of people, they don't like to sort of thrust themselves forward into the limelight and say, hey, look at me, I really am the best person for the job, or I really do deserve a pay rise. We do find that a little bit difficult sometimes to thrust ourselves into the limelight. So that's why I'm suggesting, if that's what you've been thinking about for a while, now is the perfect time astrologically, while the sun's in Leo, and particularly while the planet of communication, Mercury, is there, because people will sit up and take notice. They will take notice if you go in there with a positive attitude and you present a really rock solid case. They can't help but sort of say, I'll give it some consideration, instead of just automatically dismissing you and saying, no, thanks very much, see you next year sort of thing. They're at least giving you a hearing. And that's, you know, if you get that opportunity, then you're halfway there, because at least if they're interested to listen enough to what you've got to say, you're in there with a shot. So don't give up. We still have Saturn, the planet of discipline and the father figure of the zodiac, still sitting in Aquarius. Now, Saturn's currently retrograde at the moment, will be for another couple of months. Now, that doesn't minimise what Saturn's able to bring to the table. What it means is that Saturn is asking you to maybe find some different and more creative solutions. Think outside the square. If there's something that's not working in your life, maybe try and find a different solution. Have you looked at it through a different set of eyes? Sometimes I find in life, when you can't find an answer for yourself, imagine that it's someone else's problem. Your best friend, your sister, the neighbour, the person down the street, and what would you be advising them or suggesting to them to do? because you then take the emotion out of the situation and you start to look at the problem through a different set of eyes. And that way, quite often, you then get a breakthrough moment, that you get that aha moment that you've been waiting for, that gives you the solution. Well, that's exactly what Saturn's asking you to do here, is to step outside the square, look for solutions that maybe are different, that you hadn't thought of before, and you will get different answers to the solution or the issues in your life that have been troubling you or you've been trying to work on for some time. We still have Neptune, the planet of illusion and delusion and creativity, sitting in Pisces. And I tend to look at Neptune as more of a creative angle. Yes, Neptune's retrograde at the moment too, but that just, to me, just intensifies the creativity. It intensifies the way that Piscean people are really starting to sort of strut their stuff around the world. It's really interesting, because a lot of people sort of see Pisces as just the two fish chasing their tails and never able to achieve anything. I've worked with and known many, many Pisceans throughout my career, and a lot of them are very motivated, very creative people, and they're sort of a little bit the quiet achiever. They just keep plodding along. They're not necessarily seeking the fame and the fortune. They're just happy to do the job and do it well and do it in an inconspicuous sort of way. Well, they're now sort of starting to shed that skin a little bit and starting to be a little bit more like a Leo and say, hey, have a look at me. I really am important. I do have something to bring to the table, and it's time that you started to take me seriously. So from that angle, I think it's great to see Pisces really getting the recognition that they deserve, because they're quite often the one that we tend to ignore. We're going to talk with Linda in Munich, in Michigan, and I'm sure I've pronounced that wrong. Linda, where you live, how are you today, dear?
I'm good, thank you, and you did pronounce it right. So,
Oh, wonderful. That's a bonus. How can I help you? Do you have a question I can work with? Thanks, Linda.
uh, yes. Do you see anyone around me passing?
Like as in about to pass, or somebody that's passed?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Do you mean somebody that you're expecting is going to leave the planet, or somebody that already has?
Uh, Someone that we're expecting.
Okay. All right. Yeah, look, they are showing me tears and sadness, and they are showing me a gathering of people. I'm going to say I don't think it's very far away. I don't like to predict the fact that someone's life is coming to an end, but this is one of those times, Linda, where everybody's been sort of sitting on the edge of their seat just waiting for what day is it. And it's sort of, as much as it's sad, I'm going to say I think it's going to be a relief too. So has this person been suffering, have they?
Right.
Yeah, so it's sort of, it's a mixed feeling, like I'm sad, but at the same time I'm happy, because they're no longer going to be going through that anymore. It's interesting, they're showing me two. Is there someone else that we're expecting that could be going too?
Well, I lost my husband 2 years ago.
Yeah, no.
My
I'm sorry for that. That's a terrible hard adjustment for you. But I've got two more to come.
2 more to come.
Yeah, like the one that we were talking about, and I've got another one right behind it. And it's like,
Huh.
it's like, oh, I wouldn't have expected that, but I suppose that's possible. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like, I don't know that they were necessarily sick, but I'm going to say how can you say what's an age that we can expect we can be going? But, if somebody's
Right.
over 90, to me, they're on borrowed time. So it's sort of like, if it happens and they weren't sick, we say, oh, that's a terrible shame. Oh, well, I suppose they were 92. It's expected. It's one of those
Yeah.
sort of instances. But I
Well, it's
don't
not
feel that
easy
the
to let
two of them are
anyone
connected.
go. So,
Yeah, I didn't feel the two were connected. It's sort of like the one that you're expecting, that one is separate from the second one. But if I can go back to your husband's passing, was that sudden, was it? Because he keeps sharing with me that he didn't believe that it happened. He wasn't expecting it.
uh, no, we were, but we wasn't. The VA kept telling him that he was going to be okay, and if he
Mm-hmm.
did the treatments, then everything, it would have been, he had throat cancer. And they
Right.
said that this would been easier than the lung cancer that he had. And they
Mm-hmm.
lied to him. So we just,
Well, yeah. whether they lied to him or whether or not his body just couldn't take any more. Do you know what I mean? I mean, if you've beaten lung cancer, I mean, that's a major, isn't it? I mean, yeah, I suppose you look at it and
Yeah.
you think,
He lived 7 years past that. So, I mean, he beat that. Well, he didn't really beat it. It was still there, but it was just dormant. And they say when it comes back with a vengeance. But he was up walking around till the day that he passed. So I'm grateful for that.
Well, that's good, but he's sort of sharing with me, to him, it wasn't expected. I mean, okay, he knew he had cancer, but in his mind, he'd beaten it. He was going to beat this one too. So that's
a
lovely.
He was a very strong man.
Yeah, and that's a lovely attitude to have, and that's why I'm sharing with you. That's what he's sharing with me. Even now, he's still not angry with himself, but he's still in disbelief of how it all transpired, that he left so quickly, in his opinion. But he loves you. He's given me a beautiful big bunch of roses to give to you. So that's a virtual thing, but that's nice. That's just his way of showing you that he loves you. He's also showing me that it's time for you to make decisions for you. Have you been putting off some decisions that you sort of thought maybe I wasn't ready to make yet? Well, he's saying you've got the green light. Whatever you want to do, go ahead and do it. He would never be unhappy with whatever choices or decisions you make. He just wants you to move forward.
Yeah, I've been struggling with that. So I did make a move. I moved from Tennessee to Michigan. So, and that made it a little bit easier.
Yeah, but he's just saying whatever it is, he wants to see you happy. Don't make decisions thinking, oh, he wouldn't approve, or if he was here, we wouldn't be doing this. Well, no, you probably wouldn't be, but he wants you to make decisions for you. He wants to see that smile on your face again. That's important to him.
Okay, thank you.
So you can do that for him. That'll make his day.
Yeah.
He loves you, he misses you, but no, he's always with you. No matter where you move to or what you do, he's always there by your side, and he's always sort of guiding you. It's sort of like, to me, he's showing me he's got you up just under your elbow and he's guiding you in the right direction. Anyway, Linda, that's where we've got to leave it. We're going to talk with Karen now in Shenandoah in Virginia. Are you there, Karen?
Yeah.
Do you have a question I can work with, please, Karen?
Nothing in particular.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll give you what they're giving me. Karen, I beg your pardon. They're showing me that there is some endings, changes and transformations coming up around you at the moment. It's almost like I want to say stop procrastinating. There seems to be a decision, I think, that you've been putting off for a while now. Well, they're showing me now it's getting almost to the point of urgent. We've got to sort of move forward with that. They're not showing me what it was in relation to, just that it was something that is major in your life. It's not a small decision. So it's like, now's the time. Strike while the iron's hot. Have you sort of, how can I put this? They're showing me that you've reorganised your life, Karen, in a way now that it's not so much that you've let go of everyone in your life, but you no longer put the same energy into some of your friendships that you did once upon a time. It's sort of like, it's now you're sort of letting people come to you instead of you being the one to instigate things. It's like seeing how much effort other people are going to put into and how much they value your time, your friendship, instead of you being the one to always instigate things. And that's a good thing, because I think you need to now focus more on what you need to be doing in your life. You are quite psychic. So have you found that you're getting more strong feelings about things recently, Karen?
Yes.
Yeah, I want you to follow that. I want you to listen to it. The best words of advice I can give you with that is if something feels really, really strong and it's driving you nuts, then that's what you've got to act on. We'll get lots of hunches or lots of directions during a day that, can come under the heading of psychic flashes. Not all of them are we meant to act on. It's the ones that really drive us insane, that gnawing feeling or that thing that won't get out of your head. That's the thing that you put the energy into. Are you thinking of moving? Because I keep seeing this question mark around moving.
Well, actually, I recently moved, but
Right.
yes, and the thought has come up: do I really want to stay in this area? Because I was thinking of buying a home. I'm not in a good position right now, but the thought came up, do I really want to stay here? So I have been asking myself that.
Yeah, I don't know that right this second is the time to make that decision. They're showing me by October, it'll be very clear what the direction is, whether you stay or whether you go to somewhere else. By then, you'll just know. You'll get out of bed one morning and you'll say, right, that's it. I know exactly what I'm going to do now. And then you'll work towards that. I don't think that even if there is a change, that you'll make a change this year. I think it's more likely to be next year. But I can actually see you with your waving keys in front of me, keys to your own property again, which is good. So you will definitely be a homeowner again. I'm just not sure. I'm not convinced you're staying in the area that you're in. I just have this sneaking suspicion there's somewhere new for you, Karen, somewhere that you're going to feel a lot more comfortable with. So 2023 will be a good year.
Oh, thank you. I was just laughing because I was just what you said had just come to me that I'll know when the time's right, and something's telling me the same thing, that I'm not going to be, but I'm not sure what's to come, but patience.
No, but they're going to show you. It'll just be sort of, you'll have that aha moment. You'll get out of bed and say, I know I'm not meant to be here. I'm going to go to move to so-and-so. And it's like, bang, I know exactly where I'm going. So just enjoy it for the moment. Just, you know, be like a log, float down the river. Just, you know, enjoy the twists and turns of what's happening in your life, Karen. That's where we've got to leave Karen now. We've come to the end of the show. The show goes very quickly every week. I'm sure that you agree with me on that score. This week I want to leave you with a song that I think many of us are very, very familiar with. Most of us know the words to it, and I think it's a very appropriate song for the time at the moment. It's Imagine by John Lennon. Imagine if we did have a world without fear and a world without war, and, you know, things were just beautiful the way that John wrote that song. I think it's a timeless, perennial song. It's a song that I think we all know, and I think it's time we gave it another whirl on the turntable. So until next week, enjoy John Lennon and Imagine. We'll see you then. Bye for now.